On the day when the mega star got married, half of the entertainment industry showed up. The bride was my stepsister. She wore the wedding dress I designed and became my boyfriend's bride. My mom kept calling me, feeling guilty as she apologized to my stepfather. It's because Susan is too stubborn, I'll scold her properly when she comes back. My brother lazily sipping red wine. She doesn't understand anything about social norms, no wonder Jason insisted on breaking up with her. The A-list celebrity pursed his thin lips, his gaze fixed on the bracelet I gave him, saying nothing. I floated by his side. I wanted to sever the final tie between us, but I couldn't. Because I was already dead. At Jason's grand wedding, I wasn't present. He was in a high-end suit, broad-shouldered and slender-waisted, looking tall and elegant. The bride wore a uniquely designed wedding dress, standing shyly by his side. There were many guests coming and going. Everyone praised them as a match made in heaven. Seeing this scene, my heart twinged sharply. The bridal gown worn by the bride was from my design sketches. When I was drawing, my heart and eyes were full of happiness marrying Jason. But now, this happiness has all gone to today's bride, my stepsister. After socializing with guests for a while, Jenny walked to my mom's side and coquettishly asked, "Mom, why hasn't Susan come? Is she still mad that I wore her favorite bridal gown?" Mom helped her tidy up her slightly messy hair, patiently explaining, "How could that be possible? Your brother loves you the most, he even hijacked a plane to bring her back. My brother is always fond of alcohol." He patted his chest and slurred, "I've asked around, Susan flew back a week ago. Don't worry, if she doesn't show up today, I will sever ties with her." Jenny finally stopped pouting, hugging Mom and sighing, "Oh my God, how did I get such a great mom and brother, I'm so lucky." Jenny was right. She was a little princess raised in a honey jar. Except for losing her mother at a young age, everything else went smoothly for her. When she was 8, Mom brought me and my brother into their family. From that day on, whenever Jenny liked something, I had to give it to her. When our stepfather came back from a business trip, he brought back 2 dresses in different sizes. But Jenny didn't want to wear the same dress as me, she cried loudly. I felt extremely embarrassed and wanted to go back to my room to change. Jenny wouldn't give up, shouting loudly and accusing me of trying to secretly destroy it with scissors. Without saying a word, Mom pulled off the dress in front of my brother and stepfather. Though I was young, my sense of shame had already developed. I ran back to my room with my bare upper body, crying until midnight. Mom came in with a glass of milk. "Your stepfather works hard to earn money, and I have to take care of you and your brother. He's a boy and will have to rely on this family a lot in the future. Moreover, Jenny has manic depressive disorder. You have to give in to her," and this concession lasted for many years. I had to give her the mustard shrimp balls that I liked. I never had a chance to watch the TV shows I was interested in. I could only live in the storage room at home. Just because Jenny wanted to use my room for her cello. Even though she paid for an expensive cello class, she didn't pass the first level exam. I tried to reduce my presence. Many times, I would quietly sit in a small space and paint. Mom complained that I was wasting ink and paper. But I designed a great logo for our stepfather's company, saving a large sum of money. Mom muttered, "After all these years, it turned out that it wasn't a waste of effort to nurture you." My grades remained mediocre, just to not surpass Jenny. I let her think that painting has distracted me. Whenever I showed my true ability, she would resort to cutting her wrists and hunger strikes, crying out that I couldn't score higher than her. It wasn't until graduation that I received an admission letter from one of the top art schools in the country. Jenny, with her eyes red, looked at me with a malicious gaze. "Sister, you made me suffer so much, aren't you afraid of retribution?" Before her manic depressive episode, I escaped from that home and enjoyed 4 years of freedom. In college, there were cute roommates who fed me, and there was Jason from the neighboring school. At that time, his family was not doing very well. I helped people draw on the roadside and saved money to buy him clothes. Accompanied him through numerous auditions. Provided free design for posters and helped retouching photos, looking for more opportunities for him. In the summer, we climbed mountains together, fed cats under the 100-year-old tree on the mountain. In the cold days, we huddled together to eat hot dogs and dream about the future. He said, one day when he becomes a big star, he will announce our relationship to the world. I smiled slightly and said, I hope to study abroad, so when you stand at a high position, I will have the qualification to stand by you. Jason accompanied me home for the first time. Jenny immediately took a liking to him. My mom knelt down and begged me, Susan, you are outstanding, can you give him to your younger sister? She was cheated by a scumbag at school, and now she has depression. I coldly laughed, what does it have to do with me? My brother gave me a resounding slap in the face. From childhood, as long as he pleased Jenny, he could get more money from his stepfather. It's obvious that standing up for her is his priority. He sternly scolded me, Susan, don't think you can fly just because you have grown wings. If it weren't for the stepfather providing you with a college education and letting me enter the company, our days as orphans with a widowed mother wouldn't have been this good. I grabbed my brother's collar, turned around and hit back. For 4 years, I've been getting scholarships and earning money through part-time jobs. The stepfather raised me, yes, but it doesn't mean I have to spend a lifetime repaying it. But I was wrong. They spoke ill of me in front of Jason while I was studying abroad. They attributed everything Jenny did to me. My brother said that I loved torturing cats from a young age, splashed sulfuric acid on a classmate's face, and even ate the forbidden fruit at the age of 15. My mother, taking their side, solemnly swore that he was deceived. Jenny took advantage of his disappointment to get help from the stepfather. Our relationship ended in these fabricated accusations. Later, Jason exploded. He agreed to be with Jenny. At this moment, the new couple exchanged rings on the wedding stage. I felt a deep sense of suffocation. I didn't understand why Jason didn't listen to my explanation. He put me on the blacklist and refused to see me. My mom cried in the audience as if the one being kissed on the stage was her own daughter. But what about me? Do they know that I had an accident and no one cared? My soul inexplicably appeared at their wedding venue. After the wedding, a reporter interviewed Jason, movie star. We heard that your career turned around after wearing this bracelet on your hand. Can you tell us who gave it to you? That year, Jason faced a series of misfortunes. He lost his mother, who he relied on. He almost ruined his face in a car accident. It's inevitable to have suicidal thoughts when at rock bottom. To cheer him up, I went to a well-known fortune-telling house and got this lucky bracelet for him. Jason rubbed the beads on his hand. A surge seemed to pass through my body like an electric shock. He looked at his wrist, speechless for a long time. Jenny became anxious. It's just a lucky bracelet. It can not only promote your career but also protect your health. She glanced at the distracted Jason. Honey, I haven't been feeling well lately. Can you give me this string of beads? Jenny has taken too many things from me since childhood. Mom, brother, Jason, and everything. My mind was blank, unable to recall. Why did we break up? Yet Jason kept the things I gave him. Jason glanced at the blushing bride, reached out slowly, and took off the bracelet. Jenny excitedly put it on. But I saw her scratch the beads harshly with her diamond-studded nails. A sharp, bone-chilling pain struck me. Jenny's mouth curled into a vicious smile, as if to say, I never fail to get what I want. After a while, Jenny said she needed to touch up her makeup in the bathroom. My body felt as if being pulled by an invisible force, following her all the way. In the bathroom, Jenny locked the door behind her. She squinted, playing with the beads, and called someone in a chilling voice. Is everything done? The fortune teller said, before Jason falls completely in love with me, my sister must not appear. Jenny held the beads tightly. Although I became a ghost, I still felt like someone was strangling my throat. She looked at the mirror for a long time before slowly letting go, taking out lipstick for a touch-up. My mind was in chaos. Faintly, I felt I had lost a very important memory. How did I die? Where is my body? Jenny put away her sinister expression, resumed a sweet smile, and walked out. Mom was making a call. but no one answered. Jenny, with red eyes, is my sister still refusing to pick up the phone? Mom's face was full of anger. This daughter is really ungrateful. After working hard to put her through college, she ran off abroad without seeing us. She even intentionally missed your happy days. My brother chimed in, exactly. Who is she showing off to? She has had this attitude since childhood, thinking she's better than everyone. Jenny happily looked at Jason. Honey, you won't blame my sister, right? His tone was indifferent. No. She's irrelevant. Just someone insignificant. The last sentence was very soft, but it made Jenny's smile snake its way to her lips. I was trapped by that bracelet. I could only follow Jenny and Jason back to their new mansion. The house was big and luxurious. The hostess displayed their lovey-dovey wedding photos prominently. Jenny hugged Jason's arm and coquettishly said, Honey, we look more and more compatible as we watch. My heart tore with pain. The suffocating wedding night finally arrived. I couldn't stay away from the bracelet, but my heart desperately wanted to run out of the bridal room. I feared hearing Jenny nestled in Jason's arms, being affectionate, and watching them kiss on the big bed. Maybe my resentment was too strong. In an instant, I found myself outside the door, crouching in a corner. My heart felt like it was being twisted with blades, covering my ears and not daring to listen. The day of their return, I followed them back to the detestable house with no expression on my face. Mom smiled and led the shy Jenny to the sofa in the living room, advising her on wifely responsibilities. They looked so close, like a real mother and daughter. Stepfather chatted with Jason for a while, then got up to answer an important call. Jason went to the restroom. Passing by the storage room, his steps halted. The nanny had just taken out tissues from inside. That was the place I had lived in for many years. Cramped, dimly lit, could only fit a small bed, a small table, and a makeshift cabinet filled with artwork. I drifted over. The setup inside was unchanged. Just that my bed was cluttered with household items. Jason spoke up, Auntie, whose room is this? The nanny blurted out, Susan's. Jenny's expression changed drastically. Her mom scolded sternly, What nonsense are you talking about? Susan's room is clearly across from Jenny's. The nanny hesitated for a moment, then hurried into the kitchen. Jason, as if he hadn't heard, walked in with long strides. He rifled through the paintings in the cabinet. Each one was my painstaking effort. Just like the time I supported an aspiring actress. I had told Jason about it. In this house, there's no one to care for me, no place for me. He had believed it. Until Jenny fell in love with him. Her mom and brother concocted many lies about me. Jason grasped my wrist and questioned, Your mom and your brother both said Jenny has always been obedient and giving everything to you. The shady things you did before, even your own family couldn't stand. My dad betrayed my mom, and I despise lying the most. Why did you lie to me? But at this moment, Jason looked at Jenny in confusion. Wasn't it said that your sister is very assertive and demands the best room in the house? Yeah. She used to occupy my room. You can ask Mom and Dad if you don't believe me. Mom chimed in, Jenny is particularly immature. Knowing her father works hard for the money, she fights for everything with her younger sister. Jason seemed to realize something and turned to open the room opposite Jenny's. He had been to this house before. But that room was always locked whenever he visited. Mom explained that I was too stubborn and didn't like others touching the things inside, so she hid the key. But Jenny received too many wedding gifts and had nowhere to put them. She could only put them in the room that originally belonged to me, later turned into Jenny's music room for her cello. Seeing the whole house filled with her things, Jason's brow furrowed. This isn't Susan's room either? Jenny shot him a look. Mom hurriedly explained, I got distracted for a moment. Jenny is so lovable and received so many gifts. Since Susan isn't home, she can use it for now. What are you doing? Hurry and lock the door. The brother, still groggy from a hangover, walked out without understanding. The house was bought by the stepfather, so Susan should be content with using the storage room as a bedroom. Jenny hooked her finger with Jason's to explain. My sister has been abroad for several years and rarely comes back, so Mom moved her things to the storage room. Jason's eyes held indescribable emotions. I watched coldly. Some people just want to believe what they want to. What would their reaction be when they realize they've been lied to? Seeing the awkward atmosphere, Mom stepped in to defuse. When are you two going on your honeymoon? Jenny eagerly answered, we have an interview after the wedding, and then we're off to the Maldives. Ignoring parents' attempt to keep him, Jason left without eating. Jenny hurriedly followed that night. They slept in separate rooms. In the bridal suite, she vented into the phone. Jason hasn't completely forgotten about Susan after all. He spent the night in the study reading scripts and refused to sleep with me. Mom comforted her. That nanny had been at home for too many years, knowing many things about your sister. I dismissed her overnight. Mom, you're the best to me. You are my most beloved daughter. I just want to see you and Jason happy. Let's not talk about it now. Have an interview tomorrow. I have to be in the best condition. My daughter will always be the most beautiful. Jenny angrily smashed her phone against the pillow. That old bitch can't even do the simplest things right. Why doesn't she just die? I find it ridiculous. Protecting her mother for nearly 20 years, only to be insulted and cursed for half an hour because of a mistake. Mom. Is this the good stepdaughter you raised at any cost? Are you satisfied now? Jason, dressed in a designer suit, sat next to Jenny, who was acting coy, one silent, the other lively. Jenny kept sharing details, narrating her sweet love story with Jason. Suddenly, someone asked, Jason and his wife seem so in love, but isn't it inappropriate for his wife to wear a bracelet given by his ex-girlfriend? All eyes turned to the speaker. My eyes welled up suddenly. It was Cathy, my best friend from college. She had witnessed the sweetest moments between Jason and me. Jenny's face darkened. Don't talk nonsense. The bracelet was given by Jason. It has nothing to do with his ex-girlfriend. Right? She looked pleadingly at Jason. He smiled. The ex is in the past. Please don't make things difficult for my wife. Cathy wasn't backing down. One bead on that bracelet has a tiny carved cat, clearly a gift from Jason's ex-girlfriend Susan. Jenny, are you planning to use all the lies you've told in your lifetime on your sister? Cathy took out her phone, played the video of me making that bracelet and a photo of me giving it to Jason. The people present exclaimed, Jason's ex-girlfriend seems so nice. It seems like she genuinely wishes him a bright future. Hearing that the fortune-telling house was very effective, my friend who went to have her fortune told won $5 million in the lottery the next day. Me too. I found my ideal boyfriend the day after having my fortune told. Maybe Jason's success today is also due to the blessing of that bracelet. Jenny looked helplessly at Jason. Honey, say something. Jason couldn't sit still anymore. He walked quickly to Cathy, trying to get a clearer view of the video. Why did Susan never tell me these things? Cathy sneered. Since Jenny showed up, did you ever take her words seriously? When you had a car accident, disfigured, at the lowest point in life, Susan was always thinking of you, never wanting to worry you. The unexpected interview ended. Cathy looked at Jenny. Give me the bracelet. You have no right to wear Susan's things. Jenny's voice became sharp. No. The two faced off. Jenny didn't really want the bracelet. She just liked taking my things and hated seeing Jason wearing it everywhere. Cathy looked at Jason disdainfully. You don't love Susan anymore. There's no need to keep her stuff. His voice was low. If she wants it back, let Susan come to me. Find you? How many times has she tried to find you before and after you went abroad, but you pretended not to see her, Cathy said. Do you know she's not feeling well alone abroad? I took back the bracelet hoping that God would bless her to get better soon. Jason's voice trembled a bit. What happened to her? Where is she? Cathy choked up. I don't know. Last week she said she wanted to come back to the country, and not long after, her phone went off the grid. I don't even know if she's still in the country or abroad. Unable to bear it, Jenny wanted to drag Jason away forcefully. Cathy grabbed her wrist. Say it again, leave the bracelet. In the struggle, the thread was torn, and the bracelet fell to the ground. I felt dizzy, my head pounding. I could hear Jenny trying to stop Cathy and the voice ordering the assistant to pick up the bracelet. Cathy was outnumbered. She picked up the missing bead from the corner and, to her surprise, she saw me. "Susan, what are you doing here? You can see me?" "What do you mean?" "I'm dead, just a ghost now." "No way," Cathy said excitedly, wanting to hug me, but her arm passed right through me. After the surprise, she quickly accepted the fact that I had become a ghost. "Aren't you afraid of me? Don't forget. My grandma used to be a fortune teller." I breathed a sigh of relief. "Cathy, I was killed. When the bracelet broke, I remembered the process of my death. A week ago, I came back from abroad, got in a taxi. The news of Jason and Jenny getting married was all over my phone. My mom sent me a curse message: "Susan, if you dare ruin Jenny's wedding, I'll break your legs." My brother, without mincing words, said only Jenny deserves Jason now. I was in tears, completely unaware of the road outside the window, not heading to the hotel I booked. I wanted to jump out of the car to escape. The driver deliberately drove the car in a zigzag manner, seizing the opportunity to shock me unconscious. When I woke up, I appeared in an abandoned building by the sea. The killer acted like a madman. He cruelly cut off my head, muttering to himself, "You'll be presumed to have committed suicide by jumping into the sea. Your luggage and passport will surface. There are sharks around here. Your body has definitely been eaten. Your limbs and torso will forever stay on the cement pillars, but your head will become my proudest art piece." Cathy was sobbing, trembling, wanting to call the police immediately. I hesitated, "But how will you tell the police that I'm buried in a cement pillar? And, more importantly, I'm not sure of the exact address where I was killed." Cathy wiped her tears. "I have a friend who's a cop. He knows my grandma. He'll believe me." The officer was very efficient, and quickly found the taxi I took through surveillance footage. However, the driver wore a mask, gloves, and sunglasses, making it impossible to see his face. The license plate was fake. The car had been obtained through illegal channels. After reaching a fork in the road, he evaded surveillance. He was familiar with it, was most likely premeditated. But I couldn't remember offending any man. The officer contacted fishermen to help retrieve my head and backpack from the sea. Cathy asked, "Susan, do you have any impression of what the killer looked like?" I tried to remember. The terrifying experience before my death made my head ache even more. I vaguely remembered that the killer's voice seemed familiar. At the airport, Mom and my brother came to see me off. She held Jenny's hand. "Make good use of this opportunity. Once you get pregnant with Jason's child, everything will be fine." Jenny pouted, "Mom." The bracelet somehow ended up back in Jason's hands. It was the bracelet missing a mother-of-pearl bead, replaced by other pendants. He wore sunglasses and a baseball cap, trying to keep a low profile, so fans wouldn't recognize him. My brother, on the other hand, afraid others wouldn't know about his relationship with Jason, shouted his name in a carefree manner, "Jason, remember to take good care of my sister in the Maldives. You are the most important person to her in her life." With such a clamor, many people came over to take pictures and ask for autographs, significantly delaying the boarding time. Jenny enjoyed the feeling of being praised as a star wife. Until my mom answered a phone call. "I haven't done anything wrong. Why should I go to the police station?" Nonsense. Susan refuses to come back from abroad. How could she possibly be dead? However, Jason, who was pushing his luggage towards the VIP channel, turned back. He looked at my mom. "You just said, who died?" Jenny gestured to my mom, signaling her to just brush it off. Mom held up her phone. "Scam call, probably from somewhere in Myanmar." Cathy, watching from afar, choked with anger. How can this woman be a mother? Her own daughter has been missing for so long, the police come knocking, and she doesn't even bother to ask a few questions before accusing them of scamming. I remained calm. This was my mother. She had never been concerned about my affairs. It just never occurred to me that even my death wouldn't stop her from urging Jenny not to miss her flight. She truly sets the highest standards for stepmothers. Jason looked at his phone. Nobody informed him. Our relationship had long ended. Even if I was dead, he didn't deserve to know. Cathy couldn't bear it, walked up to my mom, looking at her. "Auntie, your own daughter is dead. Why are you in such a rush to send your stepdaughter off on her honeymoon? Aren't you afraid of Susan's ghost coming back to haunt you?" Mom was furious. "Will you ever stop?" My brother habitually interjected. "Is it Susan's ghost act? Tell her, stop ruining Jenny's relationship, or else I'll never acknowledge her as my sister for the rest of my life." Cathy held out her phone. "The police got a package from a fisherman this morning. It contains Susan's passport and identification. Her remains are being actively retrieved." Her voice lowered, tears welled up in her eyes. The fans around were shocked. "What? Jason's wife's sister is dead?" I heard that at the interview last time, someone revealed that Susan was Jason's ex, and the bracelet on his hand was a gift from the deceased. But this news was quickly suppressed. At the police station, an officer took out a sealed envelope. Inside were my passport details and a diagnosis of stomach cancer. Mom was thunderstruck. It must be fake, Susan couldn't have died. But when she saw the headless body, she frantically shook her head. "It's impossible. Don't try to deceive me with a fake body." Mom couldn't hold it and started vomiting, splattering Jenny next to her. "Mom, you..." She looked displeased. Mom finally didn't apologize to her first. She mustered up the courage to go check the back of the head to see if there was a birthmark. My brother bit his lip the whole time and didn't say a word. Jason was also stunned. They had been close for years. He couldn't possibly not know about the crescent-shaped birthmark on my ear. Jason's face turned pale. "No. Susan, it can't be like this." He incredulously picked up my head. This was something I had never expected. The now high and mighty Jason actually dared to touch my corpse. Jenny got scared and screamed, "Jason, don't do this." I blew a gust of wind on her neck. "Good sister, as you wish. I'll go die on the side. Are you happy now?" Jenny shivered and pressed her body against the wall. Only Cathy looked at me, crying and smiling. "Susan, you did it beautifully." Jason, with red eyes, demanded to know who the murderer was. The officer said they were investigating. I saw Jenny looking uneasy. This scene was too familiar. Every time she did something wrong, she always liked to bite her nails. Could my death be related to her? Mom's legs went weak, and she collapsed helplessly. She cried loudly. Was she mourning my death or blaming me for scaring her with a heart that jumps out of her chest even after death? I remember the last time she cried like this was when Jenny had an abortion. Jenny got pregnant with a delinquent's child, an ectopic pregnancy. The doctor said whether she aborted or not would affect her future pregnancies. Mom was afraid of her stepfather blaming her for not taking care of Jenny and even asked the doctor if my womb could be transplanted to her. Jason walked up to Cathy. "Did Susan tell you anything before she came back?" Cathy looked at me. I lightly shook my head. Cathy said coldly, "Susan's heart was broken by you. She didn't want me to tell you." Suddenly Jason remembered something. "Cathy, can you see Susan?" He knew Cathy's grandmother could communicate with spirits. Before, when he joked about her being a psychic in front of me. But after Jason's mother passed away, he went to ask the spiritualist. The reply he got was, "Son, your mother trusts you to take good care of yourself, even if you're alone." Jason knelt down suddenly, shocking everyone present. "Please, Susan died so miserably. Can you ask her if she was in pain?" Cathy pushed him away. "Stop pretending. You only feel pain after someone dies. Who are you putting on this show for?" Jason's voice was barely audible. I was wrong. I never forgot Susan, even though her younger sister told me that at 13 she had thrown sulfuric acid at a classmate, at 15 she had an abortion, and later sold herself for fame and fortune. Cathy was thoroughly angry. It's Jenny who was sneaking around at 15. Jenny went crazy trying to clarify. "Cathy, if you keep slandering me, do you believe my dad's team of lawyers will sue you?" Jason, for the first time, spoke icy cold to Jenny. "Do you dare to swear that what Cathy said is false?" Jason, if you don't believe me, you can ask my mom and brother. But Mom was indifferent. She was staring at the identification photo on my passport. I felt a bit bitter. From childhood, my mom hardly ever took pictures of me. Her camera was filled with Jenny in a princess dress, Jenny playing with new toys, Jenny having a great time at the amusement park. The last time we took the family portrait, Jenny didn't want to see me and deliberately locked me in the house to help the maid clean the toilet. In college, such opportunities became even rarer. Jenny pulled at Mom desperately, "Say something. It was Susan who had the abortion, right?" Mom snapped back to reality, her voice sounded choked up. I was utterly disappointed. "Mom, I'm dead. Do you still have to spread rumors about me?" Cathy scolded loudly, "Did you hear that? Susan is asking, even after she's dead, you're not willing to let her go?" Mom finally covered her mouth and cried out, "Susan, are you here? Come and see Mom, all right?" I couldn't understand why she showed such heartbreaking pain for a daughter whom she had never loved from childhood. Why was she showing off like this for ghosts to see? But I had long stopped feeling maternal love. Mom glanced at my anxious and unsettled brother, spoke coldly to Jenny, "Stop asking. I don't know anything. I didn't want to see this family anymore. Cathy, let's go." Cathy nodded slightly. Jason caught onto the last straw. "Can you see Susan? Is it true?" Cathy pushed him away forcefully. "Yes. She told me she watched you marry the person she hated the most. She despised you, not believing in Jenny's words. Even on your wedding night, she was crouching outside your door. Did it sicken you? Are you satisfied?" Jason cried out in pain. I thought what Jenny and her mom said was true. That's why I couldn't accept Susan's deception. "Please, let Susan say something to me, please." Cathy looked at me. "Susan." My spirit felt exhausted, the weightless soul felt particularly heavy. Jason didn't accompany Jenny on their honeymoon. He lingered around to find Cathy. "I know you can commune with spirits. Let me see Susan. You've already broken up. Why see her?" "No. I found their nanny. She told me many things that happened back then." The nanny stayed with Jenny's family for many years, but Jason was always sent away whenever he visited. Jenny, spoiled and domineering, was the family's favorite. She watched the young master live in a storage room worse than hers, but never caused trouble for her. She witnessed her mother spending a 5-figure sum every month for Jenny's tutoring, yet reluctant to find a good art teacher for me. Luckily, the teacher appreciated my talent and offered free guidance by making me her assistant. During high school, we would have lunch at school. My mother threatened me to obey Jenny by not buying paint, so to save money, I often skipped meals and ended up with a hungry stomach. After hearing the nanny's words, Jason felt deep regret. During the toughest days, I would leave him the meat in my noodles. I joked about losing weight and getting used to having an empty stomach. Cathy's words were laced with sarcasm. If you had done fewer stunt fights as a stand-in, suffered fewer injuries, eaten less, Susan might not have gotten stomach cancer. Jason, overcome with emotion, snatched the mother-of-pearl necklace off Cathy's neck. Strange things happened. He saw me. "Susan, why have you lost so much weight?" Jason's hands shook as he tried to touch my face. I dodged, looking at my slender wrists, muttering, "Am I very thin?" In that instant, I remembered. I remembered why I returned to my home country. Not long ago, I felt uncomfortable in my stomach, the pain much more pronounced than before. After a checkup, the doctor diagnosed me with mid-stage stomach cancer. Unwilling to believe it, I did not want to die abroad. I had lost my family and boyfriend, not even managing to hold on to my health. Jason, trying to console me as he used to, wanted to forcefully pull me into his arms for a kiss. But things were different now. His hands went through my soul. He stumbled hard ahead. My nose tingled. In the second year abroad, this man suddenly called and said, "Susan, let's break up. You had an abortion for another man long ago, went abroad to fool around with someone else, trying to climb up the ladder of fame and fortune in one shot. I detest women who cannot be faithful. You are too filthy." It was hard to believe. Our 5 years of love easily smeared by Jenny and my mother. Jason did not seek further confirmation and put me on his blacklist. Back then, my drawings were not worth much. I scraped together money for the fair, wanting to explain in person. But unexpectedly, the movie Jason acted in the previous year became a huge hit, skyrocketing his fame. His assistants and bodyguards coldly stopped me. "Jason won't see you." Feeling utterly hopeless, I chose to go back abroad to pursue my career. Before leaving, I saw Jenny clinging to him coquettishly from afar, the two looking intimate. At that moment, I truly understood what despair meant. Jason knelt before me. "I'm sorry, Susan. Their faked evidence was too thorough, even putting your contact information on the blacklist. Your mother and brother completely stand by Jenny's side, and it's hard for me not to believe them. Jenny even told me that the movie which brought me fame was set up by your stepfather. Out of gratitude, I let her stay by my side." "Is that show you mentioned funded by David?" "Yes. I checked afterward, and David's company indeed collaborated with your stepfather." Some things came to mind. When Jason hit rock bottom, I worked hard to find suitable resources for him. I heard about a show with a rich storyline, perfect for his talents. So, I did my best to find investors. It was challenging to approach the aloof David. But I knew his grandmother missed her late husband dearly. Unfortunately, a fire destroyed the few photos they had together. I reconstructed a portrait of the couple with my paintbrush based on her description and identification photos. The grandmother was deeply moved. David was filial. When he heard about it, he asked me what I wanted. I recommended Jason. Regarding the stepfather, David never met him throughout the process. Jason was utterly devastated. I coldly laughed. "I don't blame Jenny for lying, after all, she excels at snatching things from others since childhood. But you, as my closest person, easily believed those dirty words. I feel ashamed for you. For the sake of our 5-year relationship, you should disappear, never come back." I trended on the internet. Jason's ex-girlfriend met a gruesome end. Some exposed how I painted to raise funds for stray cats and dogs during my university days. Others saw me drawing on the street, asked if I had someone pursuing me. I joyfully admitted to having a boyfriend, both working hard towards a shared future. Meanwhile, Jason's post-marriage interview was edited. The handmade bracelet I painstakingly crafted touched many netizens. If I had such an angelic girlfriend, I would never break up with her. Recalling the cause and effect, she stood by Jason during his roughest times. Unfortunately, when he succeeded, he turned around and married someone else. I stayed in Cathy's room. I found solace in the appreciation of the works I had practiced day and night. My death had been too gruesome. Netizens turned amateur detectives, wanting to help find the culprit. Someone inadvertently snapped a photo of me getting into a car at the airport. The suspect had taken off his sunglasses just in time outside the surveillance cameras. Using this as a lead, the police narrowed down the list of suspects through a series of data comparisons. When I heard Shawn's name, I shivered. He was Jenny's first love, the man who fathered her child in secret. The handsome but poor butcher's son was infatuated with the spoiled rich girl who loved to act cute. Jenny told him that I had spoken ill of him to my family, prohibiting them from being together. She was adept at spreading rumors. Every time we met, Shawn would glare at me with a fierce look. On my birthday, feeling neglected by my mom, I wandered into a nearby small grove. There, I caught them cruelly torturing a small cat. Shawn had some talent in drawing and had once lost to me in an art competition. Jenny lied to him, saying I often tortured small animals, claiming that studying their muscle texture made me such a skilled artist. Right in front of me, Shawn severed the head of the small cat. I screamed in fear and picked up a stone from the ground to throw, but it was too late. The black cat was actually Lulu, the stray cat that I had been feeding. It refused to eat the food given by Jenny. If it weren't for me, maybe it wouldn't have attacked Lulu. I buried Lulu. Jenny passed on a message from Shawn. You destroyed his research work, so you owe him a better one in return. I suddenly realized. No wonder the murderer, while dismembering my body, boasted that I would become his most proud artwork. Shawn was arrested. When the police asked him who ordered the hit, he said it was because of my dislike for that bitch Susan, claiming he acted alone. People are shocked by his detailed recount of how he killed me. Shawn had studied the cutting of the skull. He knew how to make my death look more like an accidental fall into the sea, where I was brutally devoured by carnivorous sharks. This was his proudest work. I touched my neck. It came off easily. Cathy tried to pick up my head on the ground, but she couldn't touch the elusive spirit. Jason was dumbfounded. He knelt on the ground, repeatedly kowtowing to me. Luckily, the police station floor was hard enough. Jenny, in a panic, tried to help him, but he heartlessly pushed her away. Only Mom seemed confused. But she asked softly, "Susan, did it hurt a lot?" A dull pain spread across my heart. Diagnosed with stomach cancer, I had suffered for days. Before my death, I had endured inhumane torture, but now, everything was over. When you're dead, nothing hurts anymore. Even Mom's favoritism and the betrayal of my boyfriend don't matter anymore. But Cathy couldn't bear it and shouted at them, "Are you satisfied with how Susan died? While she was being murdered, what were you busy with?" One was helping his stepdaughter try on bridal dresses, the other was helping his fiancée pick out a ring. If I were Susan, I would definitely become a vengeful ghost and seek revenge on you. I picked up my head again, trying to pat Cathy's shoulder. I underestimated Cathy's abilities. She and the officer were reluctant to believe that Shawn killed me over an old grudge. "I borrowed something from Grandma for you to materialize at any time, to scare Shawn and maybe discover the real mastermind." So I went to the cell and did a lot of tricks in front of Shawn, just to scare him. Soon, he couldn't bear it and confessed that everything was at Jenny's behest. He said, "Your return would threaten Jenny, and the only way to permanently get rid of you was to kill you." Shawn planned to make it look like I jumped into the sea and committed suicide. Jenny disagreed. To curse a classmate who was prettier than herself, she raised a phantom. Later, wanting Jason's affection, she resorted to many twisted means. There was a con artist who claimed to be the apprentice of a famous diviner, selling her a precious item at a high price. Jenny made Jason drink it. They ended up in a daze and had relations. Jason agreed to take responsibility for her. But Jenny still wasn't reassured. She remembered the master's warning that until Jason was completely in love with her, she couldn't let me appear, and even in death, had to shatter my spirit. Jenny insisted that Shawn dismember me and mix me with cement to fill the stone pillar. She sweet-talked him, saying it was the greatest masterpiece. When the truth was revealed, Mom went crazy and grabbed Jenny's hair, yelling, "You despicable person, you killed my Susan." Jenny laughed madly, "Did you not also kill her? Just a few words from me was enough to make you deny giving money to feed your own daughter. If you knew she had stomach cancer, you would have not gotten your hands dirty. You treated me well. Was it not for my father to donate more to your son in the future? So you sacrificed your daughter to achieve that. You're no different from me, both stepping on her corpse to get what you want." Mom trembled, slapping Jenny more than 20 times. The officer, knowing my gruesome death, didn't intervene effectively. When Jason saw Jenny, her face was more swollen than a pig's head. "Honey, I won't divorce you." They were separated by the officer. Jenny was scared. "Jason, you can't treat me like this. Why did you spread the rumor about Susan? Why would you believe the fake miscarriage certificate and the words of my mother so easily? Who do you blame for Susan's past behavior?" Jason held his head and let out a regretful and painful sob. The stepfather wanted to use the company's legal team to save Jenny. When I was a ghost, I had Cathy take me back to Jenny's house and the stepfather's company, where he hid the evidence of tax evasion and arranging accidents to kill a competitor's son in discreet places. The boss was soon taken down by the police. The brother had lost a lot of money from gambling, hoping for a shortcut to wealth. But the stepfather had always been wary of this son. 3 years ago, he had an affair with his secretary. She got pregnant, had an ultrasound, and it was a son. The brother was furious and pushed the pregnant secretary down the stairs. The child was lost. When brought to the police station, the stepfather asked the son why he wanted to obliterate his future generations. The brother coldly said, "It's only this way that your property might fall into my hands." However, the rival swore to ruin the stepfather's company at all costs to avenge his son, making sure that he would rot in prison. The brother was dumbfounded. The mother paid a hefty sum to the secretary, who managed to escape prison. The company folded, bank accounts frozen, the mansion auctioned off, and the dreams of the wealthy heir shattered. To pay off the debts, the brother, with little education, could only work as a delivery man, doing manual labor. Mom began to visit Cathy's house regularly, bringing different dishes every day. "Susan, have some millet and pumpkin porridge. I specially added sea cucumber, it's good for the stomach. Today's lobster is particularly fresh, I made it blanched, even if you can't eat it, take a whiff. If you like it, I'll make it for you every day." I materialized and made a ghostly face at her. "Mom, you are as repulsive as always, buying dead shrimp to save money to appease me, and forgetting that I am allergic to seafood." Mom froze. I continued, "You're so eager to visit, just to find out where the paintings I did while alive are, right? Susan, please, I'm begging you. Your brother has been used to living like a young master. Your paintings are now worth a fortune, delivering a few to him would help him get through the tough times." Cathy felt nauseated, picked up a cup of hot water and poured it on her. "Get out. Even the air feels dirty with you around." Feeling relieved, I looked at Cathy. "Cathy, you've always been the best to me, so I have a surprise for you." "What surprise?" As soon as she finished talking, the courier appeared at the door with packages labeled International Express. Cathy opened them and saw all my works from abroad in recent years. She covered her face, crying uncontrollably. Jason wanted to buy all my paintings. Cathy refused, but he persisted. During this period, Jason recalled many things. In those years of playing small roles, I lived with him in a 30-square-meter rental house. The corners of the house were filled with my drawing paper, paints, and clothes I bought for him to try on. After the audition, Jason came back and hugged me, as I was painting on the crude sofa. "Susan, I wanted to get the role, but it was taken from me." I hugged him back. "Before fulfilling our dreams, I can support you by painting. What if I don't succeed in this life? I love you, and I believe in your talent." Jason kissed me for a long time, out of breath, then said, "When I have money, I will buy a villa for you and host an art exhibition for you." But later, he became successful, yet there was someone else by his side, the person I detested the most in my life. Jason looked at me, holding his head in his hands. "I'm sorry, Susan. I was tempted by fame and fortune at that time, plus we had been together for too long. Losing the novelty. Jenny took advantage of your absence when you went abroad, and I fell for her warmth and loveliness for a moment. But eventually, I realized that my heart was always with you. Except for the time she drugged me, I never betrayed you again, not even on our wedding night." I sighed, once unfaithful, 100 times unnecessary. Jason went on a mad revenge spree against his mother and brother, shifting all the blame onto them. His mother, at an old age, applied for a housemaid job, but her bad personality earned her criticisms, and no one dared to hire her. She ended up working as a cleaner. She had to wake up before dawn every day to work, too tired to even buy medicine for her heart disease. His brother fared even worse, receiving a bunch of negative reviews every day, but barely making any money after a day's hard work. Later, when creditors came knocking, he got hit by a car trying to escape, ending up with a broken leg. Jenny didn't fare well either. While awaiting the day her spirit would disappear, would go to the prison to perform decapitation acts for her. She had done too many bad things, and was so terrified of ghosts to the point of mental breakdown. After being sent to a mental hospital, she was beaten into paralysis by violent patients. For the rest of her life, she could only move her eyes, dependent on others for everything. Cathy, now a rich woman, sold my paintings and donated some of the money to charity to care for small animals. When Cathy hung the bracelet on the big tree where I used to climb, a black cat pounced toward me. Wasn't it the little black cat I buried years ago? Cathy wiped away her tears. Jenny learned about a soul-binding spell. That's why she shattered your body into pieces, so your spirit would shatter along, unable to seek revenge. But my grandmother assumed cats have 9 lives, which means they have 9 souls. Lulu gave one of those souls to you, so your spirit would remain intact. I picked up Lulu and stroked it. It affectionately rubbed against my spirit, just like when I would feed a cat food and it would happily lick my palm. After accompanying Cathy down the mountain, I saw a slender figure. It was Jason. He came from the foot of the mountain. According to passers-by, he had retired from the entertainment industry. He had spent a large part of his fortune trying to find someone who could communicate with the spirits, all just to see his ex-girlfriend one more time. Cathy scoffed, "People only regret when it's too late." What were you doing back then? There's a saying, people are strange creatures, liking the ones they can't have, not cherishing what they have, doubting when they are together, missing when they lose, wanting to meet when they miss, and hating it's too late. Throughout their lives, filled with regrets. Remembering the scenes of climbing mountains and feeding cats together, it feels like a lifetime ago. The us from the past has long since become you and me. Lulu, let's go. I bid goodbye to Cathy with a smile, then turned and walked away, not even casting a glance at Jason.